Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's DJ, as you can see. Um, so today we have a safety training class. It's technically for the month of September, but I figure let's get a jump on it and get it started so that we can go back to doing different videos that are fun. Not that this isn't fun, but there's like a couple of them, and so I just figure let's get started on it. So this one is on basically how to keep germs from spreading and the best ways to do it. And I know that COVID's kind of been a big. I mean, it's something that is just involved in all our lives now, and so it's good to for us to discuss just in terms of not just COVID, but also not to forget that there are still other infectious diseases out there, such as the flu and things like that, that can really get people sick. So we don't need to just make sure we're washing our hands, socially distancing, staying home if we don't feel well. You know, just because of COVID, there's a lot of things that you could. And a lot of people say, "Oh, well, it doesn't feel like COVID, so I'm just going to go out and do anything because it's not COVID bad." But the flu is still really bad, so let's make sure that we do things to make sure that we're all staying safe and healthy and happy. So I've got a few things. So the first one is five common ways germs are spread. So let's get started. So nose, mouth, or eyes to hands to others. So obviously, if you cough, things, and the last part of this is going to be kind of gross. I mean, that I have to go over, but it's still important to go over. But some of this is going to be a little gross, but at the same time, it's how to stay clean after. So from your nose and mouth or eyes and to hands and others. So there's a lot of different, there's conjunctivitis or pink eye, which you can get in your eye if you rub your eyes, and kind of another disease. And, basically shake somebody's hand, give them a high five, even a fist bump. It's a highly contagious disease, and you can give them conjunctivitis, which you don't want. I got it once, a couple of years ago, because I was working with kids, and a parent sent their kid into school the day that I was working, and gave a couple of people pink eye. And it's not fun to have, and you have to stay home, and you can't come in because you have to wait till it passes. But anything from just a common cold, the flu, if you cough into your hand, sneeze into your hand, from your mouth or your nose, you can definitely pass it on to other people. So germs can spread to hands by sneezing, coughing, or rubbing the eyes, and then can be transferred to other family members or friends. So simply washing your hands can prevent such illnesses as the common cold or eye infections, like conjunctivitis. Another way is food to hands to food. So germs are transmitted from raw foods such as chicken to hands while preparing a meal, and typically, yeah, you don't want to get chicken sick. I've been to barbecues before where people did not cook the chicken all the way through. Then you get like salmonella poisoning, and it's horrible. So, and I never go to those people's barbecues ever again. It's better to eat overcooked chicken. It doesn't taste as good, but it won't get you sick. So, such as raw food, such as chicken, to hands while preparing a meal. The germs on the hands can then be transferred to other uncooked foods, such as salad. Cooking the raw food kills the initial germs, but the salad remains contaminated. So let's say you're handling a chicken. You do one step at a time when it comes to cooking. Handle the chicken, wash your hands, like really, really well. Or to be doubly safe, some people, unless people have a latex allergy, but put on gloves, just rubber gloves, and handle the chicken that way, and then just take those gloves off and throw them away. Still wash your hands because some might have gotten in there, but then you'll be doubly safe. But like I said, but if you go from handling a chicken and okay, I'm done with the chicken. Now I'm gonna go touch a salad. All that raw juice and everything that's on your hands, you just put it in the other food, and that can be contaminated. So, animals to people. So wash your hands After petting animals or touching any surface they come into contact with, especially if you're around other people that you don't know. I mean, for me, I wash my hands after I pet my dog sometimes. Not all the time, but I also know how often I bathe my dog. So if I know she's clean, I don't make a big deal about it. But if anybody was in my house after I pet my dog, then um, I would definitely wash my hands and ask them to as well. Dogs do gross things. Infected child to hands to other children. Germs are passed from a child with diarrhea to the hands of parent during diaper changing. If the parent doesn't doesn't immediately wash his or her hands, the germs can cause diarrhea, are then passed on to others. So I don't know how many of you work with babies, but some people do. I have, but that was definitely a big thing, is to make sure that after you change a child, you need to make sure you wash your hands. Then hands to food. Usually germs are transmitted from unclean hands to food by an infected food preparer who didn't wash his or her hands after using the toilet. The germs are then passed on to those who eat the food. This is gross. This is easily prevented by always washing hands after using the toilet and before preparing food items. So, wash your hands. That's what this is saying. Just wash your hands. If there's even a thought that you think, oh, maybe this could make sense, go wash your hands. Just best thing to do. A good long wash of your hands. Okay, so the next part is, when should I wash my hands? Always. But you also don't want to dry out your skin too bad. So say you're going to program, or after you arrive. I mean, this has a bus, but it would be a van for us. So after arriving, once you're here, you definitely want to wash your hands. After coughing or blowing your nose, definitely. Sure. But you should always cough into your sleeve. Before making or eating food, wash your hands. After using the toilet, please wash your hands, definitely. Before and after changing contact lenses, I don't know how many of you have them. I don't. Maybe it's just easier for me because now I can just take my glasses off and I don't have to worry about washing my hands. But if you do wear contact lenses, you should. Just because you're putting your finger into your eye, and so there's a chance that, again, conjunctivitis, other eye infections. After playing outdoors, please wash your hands. And of course, after playing with animals. Just because a lot of times you don't know where that animal's been. And animals, my dog's kind of gross sometimes. She eats things that I'm like, what are you eating? Why are you eating that? But she's like, I don't care. It tastes fantastic to me. Okay, next part, and then we got one more after this, and that'll be it. So cover your cough. But how do you always do it? So cover your mouth and nose with a tissue even when you cough or sneeze. So if there's that's why in the vans you'll always see, like I always have, tissues for people, like, if you feel like you're gonna sneeze or anything like that, even if it's just allergies, there'll always be something there. And it says to cough or sneeze into your upper sleeve or into your elbow, but not your hands, because people sneeze into their hands and then they just tend to wipe it on something, because it's like human instinct. You sneeze here for some reason, you're not like going around like rubbing that part of your arm onto anything. But with our hands, we're just always like, get that off. I mean, it's fight or flight. Put your used tissue in the wastebasket. I always have a garbage can in mine. Please feel free to use it. And then clean your hands after coughing or sneezing. Wash hands with soap and warm water, or clean with clean with alcohol-based hand cleaner. The reason you want like isopropyl alcohol or things like that, or rubbing alcohol, is it just kills germs off really fast and stops the spread of anything pretty quickly. And that's why hand sanitizer, that's one way So I've got some right here. And yeah, so this has ethyl alcohol, 72%. But if you ever get a hand sanitizer and you look at it, because I know when COVID first started, a lot of people were selling hand sanitizers that didn't have alcohol in it. It's useless. It's not helping anything. It's more like a moisturizer for your hands. It's not really helping anything at all. So make sure you look and make sure it says that there is alcohol in the hand sanitizer and not, you know, but ethyl, isopropyl, but rubbing alcohol, things like that, then it will definitely help. All right, now we have about 11 questions that I'm going to answer. But I definitely want you to, if you have any more questions about this, if I seem to have left something out that you know about, please let us know in a group chat or just let me know and I'll pass it on to the group chat as well. So, if number one, if you have a cold or the flu, what are some things you can do to not spread the illness to others? Well, we've already gone over a lot of it. One way is just to make sure you wash up. You know, if you have to be out in public, say you're so sick that you even have to go to the hospital, still make sure that you're washing up, things like that. The most important thing, if you're sick, and I think in a weird way it's something that's kind of good that COVID did teach us, is to stay home. If you're sick, please stay home. If you have a cough, anything like that, stay home. Before COVID, I think a lot of people were coming to work, coming to program, and just being like, oh, I can fight through this. This is nothing. It's hardly even a cold. Well, we don't do that anymore. Let's make sure that we stay home. It keeps all of us safe and all of us happy. So you can do that. And go see a doctor. If you're really sick, you should go see a doctor. Make sure that it's nothing that could become a lot worse. So those are some of the things that you can do to stop the spreadness of the illness to others. I mean, they could give you medicine, different things like that, just to make sure that you're okay and that everybody else is okay. And feel free to do it. Don't ever feel pressure to come into program when you're feeling sick or anything like that. It's best to stay home. I have to do the same thing. We all should be doing the same thing. Okay, number 2. Now this is a tougher one. Okay, so if you have a bathroom accident and did not make it to the restroom on time, what should you do? Well, first thing you should do is still, since you were headed in a direction, you should go to the bathroom and see if you can't clean up as much as possible. Then wash your hands a lot. But make sure that people know, and so the next thing that you would do is hopefully you have a phone or something like that, and you can call a staff member and say, hey, this happened. I need some help. And the staff will find you the appropriate help. Will even come and get you a new change of clothes, things like that. Any help that you might need, staff will be there to help you with it. We might call your family, maybe have a family member come pick you up, maybe come drop you off some clothes, things like that. But also, if you're not feeling well, the most important thing is to let staff know, like, hey, I am not feeling very good today. And, prevention is always the best thing. Like, I'm not feeling good. Be honest. Pull the staff aside if it's an embarrassing thing. But I don't care. We've all had, diarrhea. We've all had problems before. We've all been sick before. Don't be too proud to not tell the staff and say, hey, I'm not feeling well. I think I should probably go home. But I also think I need to use the bathroom before then. So that way, you're not in a van full of people. And we'll find a way to make sure that you get home and you get home safe. But you definitely want to clean up. Make sure you're washing your hands. Let the staff know anything that you touched. If you did have an accident before you made it to the bathroom, what else did you touch? Obviously the door handle, things like that. And that way the staff, and it's up to us to wipe it down and make sure that everything's cleaned up. But we would need to know exactly, well, what did you touch? What didn't you touch after you had your accident? And that way we can wipe everything down and make sure that everything's clean. But don't be embarrassed. We've all been in bad situations before. Believe me, we all have. And it's nothing to be embarrassed about. Accidents happen. That's all it is an accident. But that's what you should do in that situation. Number 3, what are some things people can do to not catch the cold or flu? What can people get from their doctor or healthcare clinic to protect them from catching the flu? Well, for the second part, get a flu shot. That is what you can get. You can get a flu shot. Just like we got COVID shots, you can also get a flu shot. Some people don't believe in it, and that's just fine. But if you don't want to get the flu, it is a great way. It's not really flu season quite yet, but I definitely want to go get mine. But go get a flu shot. And there's also other things that you can get from the doctor. There's vitamin B. You know, there's a lot of things that can help your system. Um, that from like vitamins, all sorts of different minerals that you can get from your doctor to help prevent. So even if you don't want to get a flu shot, there's like B12 shots and things like that that you can go in and say, hey, I don't want to get a shot. I don't believe in shots, but I also don't want to get the flu. Well, they can help you with other things that can help boost your system. So that's some things that you can do to not catch a cold or the flu. Also, just washing your hands, especially if you're in public. I mean, don't pretend that everybody's infected or anything like that, but you should think that there's possibility that somebody that was sick might have been in a public restroom that could get you sick. And so the best thing to do is wash up. Make sure you're washing your hands. Also get good rest, exercise, things like that that will help pump up your immune system to where your body will be more willing to fight it off. Exercise is really it's a good thing. So hiking, come to our hiking classes. I'll take it unless once COVID's over, I'll take it. Number 4, what do you uh wait, sorry. Why do you want to handle sharp objects such as needles, broken glass, razors carefully? Okay. If there's broken glass on the floor, how should it be cleaned up? Well, the thing is that you don't want anything that's on that glass, you don't know what's on it, and it can easily cut you. And once it's cut you, whatever's on that will immediately get into your bloodstream. And then that's going through your system. And your body's going to try to fight it off, but there's a chance that you'll get sick. So the best way to clean anything up, don't leave it. If you see something, at least say, hey, I'm staying here, and call somebody or anything like that. Say, hey, we need to clean this up, but don't leave it for anybody else to step on or anything like that if you see some glass broken or anything like that. Make sure you at least tell somebody else, and we can help clean it up. But you should be wearing gloves, of course. I would even double glove it when it comes to that. I would use even a more heavy glove, like the latex gloves. If you do have those, like the ones that you use to clean kitchens and things like that, or bathrooms, you definitely want like something that the glass isn't going to pierce through. And also sweep it up. The less you use your hands, the better. So always sweep it up first. That's the best way. Just sweep it, get that together, then go down with gloves on and things like that. Spray down the floor. Just and take paper towels, things like that. Kind of wipe everything up. Then go over and mop it. Then dry it, and that way you cleaned it up as well as you can. Why is it not a good idea to share combs, toothbrushes, or eating utensils? I love that word, utensils. It's so weird. Well, you don't want to share combs or hats because of lice. Again, I've had lice, and it was from the same place. I got pink eye because kids can get messy and they get lice, and I got lice from a kid. And that's just from them being around me. I mean, I didn't share a hat or a comb or anything like that. It's just lice can get right on you, and then you got lice. But it definitely combs, hats. Use your own. Don't share one with anybody else. Say, oh, do you need a comb? No, please don't do that. Because you don't know. You don't even know sometimes. I didn't know I had lice till I was just like really itchy, and then I had somebody check, and they're like, I think you got lice. But they had gloves on and everything. Luckily, they didn't get lice. Toothbrushes or eating utensils because it can get you sick. It could be contaminated with. You don't know if somebody has the flu. You don't know if somebody has the common cold. And nowadays you don't know if somebody has COVID. Sharing things like that is just it's unsafe and unsanitary, really. So sharing food, not the best thing. We shouldn't be doing that. Okay, number 6. Why is it a good idea to place a seat cover on a public toilet seat before using the toilet? Because it's safe. And because you don't know what's on it. It's a public toilet. You don't know how many people have been there, exactly what, if somebody was sick, how many people could have sat on it. So it's best to always use the seat covering. It just protects you, and it protects everybody else, just in case even you were sick or I was sick and I went in there. It's best to do that, and it flushes right down. And if you ever have any questions about how to set it up or anything, I can answer those for you and help you out that way, or any staff. What should you do immediately after using the toilet? Well, immediately what you should do is you need to make sure you wipe. That's, I think this is kind of a trick question, but you definitely need to wipe, make sure that you're clean, sanitary, and then you're going to want to go wash the digits and make sure you get all cleaned up. Wash your hands for a good 60 seconds. One thing that I've always learned is if after you get everything, take your nails and just kind of go over your palms and things like that, and you'll be a lot safer. So if you're injured or bleeding, what should you do? This is question number 8. What you should do is, well, first off, is get something like a sterile pad, something that's as sterile as possible, and you want to make sure that you stop that bleeding. So put something on it, and then you definitely want to alert somebody else, depending on how bad it's bleeding or anything like that. We have emergency supplies. I mean, there's a first aid kit right over here. There's pretty much one in every single room around here. We, of course, have our safety bags in our vans. Make sure that you use that or take advantage of it and say, hey, I need something. Please help me. But that's what you should do. You do want to stop the bleeding as soon as possible because you could pass out. Number 9, what should you do immediately after sneezing or coughing into your hands? Wash your hands. Maybe even wash your face a little bit too. That one's easy. If you have conjunctivitis, pink eye, what should you not do? Well, you shouldn't come into program. That's what you shouldn't do. You should stay home and get better because you can't have it. It's highly contagious. And don't go around touching stuff. Don't rub your eyes. You gotta leave your eyes alone. It's a tough thing because you're gonna want. It's just like if you have, like a mosquito bite or anything that itches. That's the first thing you want to do is kind of itch it. You don't touch your eyes because you touch that. Anything you touch after that, and you have no idea how many things you could possibly touch. Sometimes people are like, I don't think I touched anything, where you could have touched a lot. So, best thing is to keep it contained, and that's why you stay home. You keep everything contained and wash up everything. Once everything's like washed up and things like that, say you've had to stay in bed, things like that, then what you're going to want to do is wash all your sheets and everything like that. Make sure that, everything's clean. But definitely don't touch your eyes. And don't come into program. Don't, please. Me neither. Stay home. So if your friend fell and hit her head or his head on the ground, which caused it to start bleeding, why should you not touch her blood with his or her blood with bare hands? If you do get someone else's blood on you, what should you do? What should you do is you should wash your hands. You should definitely wash your hands. You might even want to go to the doctor and get checked out and say, hey, this happened. I got some on me. I washed my hands immediately, but, I definitely touched somebody else's blood. And so, and what you want to do is, the thing is, if somebody's bleeding really badly, you got to make sure you stop the bleeding. But with something sterile, and we have gloves in all the vans and everything like that. So get some gloves on as soon as you possibly can, and then help them out. But keeping yourself safe is just as important as keeping your friends safe. So again, there's bloodborne pathogens and things like that, and you have to treat everybody as if sometimes, that it's an unsafe situation. And you have to treat it that way, just to make sure that everybody stays safe. And you don't want any bloodborne pathogens passing through your system. Anyway, so that's it for our safety class. I'm sorry it was a long one, but these are important things. Please, any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, anything that could help out this, please either let me know or just report it to the entire group that we're with today, and let them know as well. Hey, this is important to know about. So, I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I hope it continues to be a wonderful day. Hopefully the sun comes out. It's been a kind of cold morning, but I'll send this out during the afternoon time, so hopefully it's a lot nicer then. Anyway, miss y'all. Talk to you soon.